Hezbollah is saying it launched rocket attacks on several Israeli military positions near the Lebanese border. The group said it targeted a gathering of Israeli soldiers and vehicles near the border. Commodore Saudi, we've discussed this before, but how long do you think the proxy groups of Iran, the axis of resistance, can continue with these attacks, and what will be made out of them once the conflict is over, or when Iran is depleted with its
talk about the exact number of the casualties that were taking place is very difficult. Israel has put a gag on the media. They are not coming out with the right picture in Israel. Attacks on Israel have been huge, and I'm sure that the casualties would have also been quite a bit. When we talk of the casualties that have been announced by Iran, I hope they have also taken into care the 87 bodies, even maybe more, of the sailors who died on the ship. With regard to the issue you have brought out about Lebanon and Hezbollah, well, the proxies of Iran, as of today, the morale would have been slightly low because Iran too is in the conflict, and Iran is getting, the way of that Iran is getting attacked. The weapons which were to be given to Iran, these proxies by Iran, maybe there could be a slight, reduction in these weapons. But one thing is there, these proxies, whatever damage Israel does to these proxies, the war which the proxies, have done, which is sort of a symmetric war in Israel, I'm sure they will continue with that even if the conflict is paused. So till the time Hezbollah, Houthis, as well as the Hamas, they are actually annihilated, the problem in Israel is going to continue.
Right. In fact, viewers, now in fresh developments from the Middle East, Iran has reportedly released footage claiming a new wave of missile launches targeting regional sites in Iraq, Bahrain and Israel. The video circulated shows missiles being fired as part of the country's ongoing retaliatory operations. Air defense systems across Israel were activated as the incoming missiles triggered sirens and intercept attempts over several cities. Multiple interceptions were seen lighting up the skies, but reports indicate that at least one missile managed to evade the defenses and struck the area around Tel Aviv, underscoring the continuing escalation in the regional conflict. Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, I want to come to you first. How prepared is the US really to give additional supplies to Israel as it continues to fight this war on Iran? Because we are seeing missiles intercepting its aerial defense systems, and there's only so much that the systems will be able to take. There will certainly be a point where US will need to rush supplies to Israel.
You see, the stockpiles of Iran of missiles and drones seems to be very high. In fact, I was looking at some visuals that they have created a city in the mountains where a large number of stockpiles are stored. Now the question is whether they have enough launchers, because many of their launchers have been destroyed, but they still have some launchers, and they're still launching missiles from different places on the Gulf countries and Israel. On the other hand, as we have seen, the cost of interception on the other side is very, very high, because the cheap drones and missiles produced by Iran, they require Patriot missiles and the THAAD systems, which are very, very expensive, and they take time to produce. Now, I can't say for sure how much capacity US has to produce these kind and how fast they can produce, but naturally the Iranian drones, unless they are contained, US will have problem in intercepting them, and Israel will also have problem because their stock will exhaust in the coming weeks. So far as the Iran is concerned, it appears to me that unless their launchers are contained, they will continue to launch these missiles both in Israel and the Arab nations simultaneously. And they have also done so on the US bases in the region. So the war is actually, so far as Iran is concerned, is continuing. They don't want to finish it unless there is, a very, very serious move from the side of US and Israel. And if that does not happen and the war continues for another 3-4 weeks, then I'm sure the US will have problem in replenishing its systems of Patriot missile and THAAD to intercept the Iranian missile and drones in the region.
Right. All right. Commodore, I want to come to you for one final question. How much does this dent the US credibility if the war prolongs for a period that Trump has not stated out?
Well, the credibility of US has already come under scanner. What US had thought that by launching strikes on Iran, maybe within days they will carry out the actual regime change as well as destroy the facilities. They changed the goalpost to total annihilation of Iran with regard to naval capabilities, military capabilities, destroying IRGC, then launches and the nuclear sites. You see, Iran also has a capability, though the mobile launches can be destroyed, but they have a capability with regard to underwater launching of these missiles. And I'm sure that Iran is keeping a track, and they are doing calculated attacks on the Middle East as well as Israel, keeping the weapons they have in their arsenal. There have been reports that US has given consent to, I think, supply around about 2,000 more bombs to Israel. Whilst US is doing that, as rightly brought out, when it comes to air defense systems and the interceptor missiles, which the cost is very high and is actually disproportionate with regard to the drones. The production of these systems, it takes time. They cannot be produced overnight. It takes a long time. So as of today, the condition of US is not good at all. And maybe that is the reason the statements from the US are changing every day. And there is a possibility that if the conflict does not end, there may be some sort of a pause that may happen.
All right. Commodore and Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, thanks very much for joining us. With that, viewers, we move to a very quick break. Stay tuned to Newsx.